garbage. It almost seems like a parody, but apparently it's not. Look at this. Bloomberg opinion. Inflation stings most if you earn less than 300K. Duh. Here's how to deal. Take the bus. Don't buy in bulk. Try lentils instead of meat. Nobody said this would be fun. If you're broke, just eat beans. Thank you, Bloomberg opinion. And this is a real one too. From selling your car to foregoing chemotherapy for your dog. Don't know how to pronounce your name has tips on how to beat inflation. Sounds like a real winner. What the heck is going on in the press? Just be poor, everybody. It's no big deal. Yeah, if you're making under 300K a year, let your dog die, eat beans. Even the president of El Salvador weighed in. He said the most powerful country in the world is falling so fast that it makes you rethink what are the real reasons. Something so big and powerful can't be destroyed so quickly unless the enemy comes from within. I agree with him completely. I think it's time that people in America need to realize that your own media and domestic entities seem to hate you more than even Russia and China does. Russia cares about Russia, China cares about China. They're not pretending to like you, but the wolf in sheep's clothing in America is destroying our country so quickly that either it's a mistake and these are the dumbest people on the planet, or something more nefarious and they're purposely destroying us from within. Let's start the show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live. What's going on, everybody? So I'm gonna go over that again for people just getting in. I posted it on Facebook, I posted it on Instagram. I just want to show people that the media, the mainstream media in America, Bloomberg, in this particular thing, but it's a lot of people, celebrities, etc., the same people that told you to stay home so Amazon and you know, Elon Musk, etc., can make money. And I'm not blaming Elon. I'm just saying the billionaires were fine. Target was open. You know, that same coalition of people that was like, you know, just be poor for COVID. You know, it's not a big deal if you lose money or whatever. It's the same people saying this now, like, oh, inflation, like, it's not just like, oh, it's tough, we're going to get through it. They're normalizing poverty and basically trying to, in my perspective, brainwash people into being okay with their own financial demise. It's very, very creepy. Let's go over the headline again for people just joining, because it's worth a revisit. All right. So this is Bloomberg opinion. It says inflation stings the most if you earn less than $300,000 a year, which would be most people in this country. Here's how to deal. Take the bus. Duh. It's like, yeah, if you don't have money for a car or you don't want to pay for gas, take the bus. Like, we didn't know that. Don't buy in bulk. Okay. It's like, thanks for the advice not to go to Costco or something. Try lentils instead of meat. I mean, yeah, everybody knows that beans are cheaper than meat. It's just meat tastes better and in some ways is healthier, according to some people. I guess that's a debate now. Nobody said this would be fun. So, I mean, just the fact that they thought this was a good headline, right? It's just like, you know, it's going to be tough to be middle class. I mean, that's really what it's saying. I would say under 300,000. It's not, I wouldn't say that's lower class. I would say if you're doing over 300,000 a year, you're doing pretty well. But anybody that's doing somewhat well, decently well, not well, everybody feels it. So if you're middle class, they're dropping you down a peg. If you're like middle upper class, they're dropping you down a peg. And if you're, you know, lower class, I would guess you're feeling it the most. But it's just like they're normalizing this idea. It's like, you know, 40 years ago, you used to be able to buy a picket fence and a house for cheap. Now just take the bus and eat lentils, you know, like as if no one's ever thought of that. Like, yeah, I guess, you know, instead of like eating a healthier meal, I guess I could just like eat ramen every day. I'm glad you told me. I never even thought of that. Thanks. I'll just eat ramen and lentils every day, you know, to, you know, stick it to the man or whatever. And I'll show you real quick. Betty Midler's one of these celebrities that's normalizing this, but this is the other headline. They're like, you know, just don't get chemotherapy for your dog. It's like, really? Like, that's your advice? That's just a strange headline. You know, here's Betty Midler. She said, I'd pay a little more gas than her. She's pushing basically, I would say, propaganda. Look at this cute little Ukrainian girl or a girl with Ukrainian flag. You know, like, yeah, it's like, how rich are you, Betty Midler? Her whole account's like a parody. She's like, if you blame Biden for higher gas prices, you're a Putin's puppet. It's all the Putin puppet, the Putin puppet, the Putin pay, be poor for Putin, fight the Putin with the poverty. You know, I would pay more for this little girl. It's like, Betty Midler, you are in the upper percentile of wealthy people. Congratulations. You were great as the ugly witch in that movie or whatever. I love that movie. What is it called? Whatever. You know, but just to have, like, I don't know how much money she has, like millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, to be like, I'd pay more money for this little girl. That's just straight up propaganda. It's like, yeah, sure. I mean, I would pay money to help her, you know, get help if she needed help or something. But this idea that that justifies inflation. Like, yeah, let's just eat lentils and take the bus so Betty Midler can post, war propaganda on her Facebook account or wherever she posts it, Instagram, Twitter. I don't even know. I guess that was on her Twitter account. It's just crazy. Let me know what you guys think about it. But before I play a clip, that one of my favorite clips to play, I think they're really trying to, the media controls the minds of the masses, right? They can make the guilty look innocent, the innocent look guilty, as Malcolm X said. That's power. They really have the power. Like, this is just a hypothetical. Say 20 million people died in a war somewhere. If there's no cameras, how are you going to know about it, right? If it happens in Ethiopia or if it happens in, San Salvador, I'm not saying it is. It's just like, if you don't live there, how would you know without the media? The media, whether it's independent journalism or mainstream media, which has more power in many ways, that's the only way we know about stuff overseas. I mean, I've never been to Ukraine. I've never been to Russia. I'm only hearing and believing what I'm hearing online. So the media really has the power. Like, they could potentially, I'm not saying they do this, but they could kill 20 million people, genocide an entire group of people, and then turn you against the people getting genocided with a picture of a cop on, or a little girl with a flag. Like, that's how deceptive they can be, and they are that deceptive. So with their power now, we've been seeing this for years during COVID, they're normalizing poverty, they're normalizing the middle class becoming the lower class, and they're normalizing anybody under $300,000 having to eat lentils. I mean, this is a huge inflation. After a year, everybody knows they tried to cover it up and say there is no inflation. I mean, there's multiple headlines saying it's a conspiracy theory, it's right wing, inflation's not happening. And then when it starts happening, they're like, here's why inflation's good, here's why it's a good thing. And then as inflation gets so bad that everybody with half a brain knows it's not a good thing, then you get the, celebrity propagandists. I'm not saying Betty Midler is like told to do this, but I just think she's not very smart or something, too emotional. But then it's like here, it goes from inflation doesn't exist to, inflation's happening, but here's why it's a good thing, to, yeah, you're just eat beans and take the bus and let your dog die or whatever. And, it's no one said this was going to be easy. It's like, that's not leadership. That's not a plan. This is not a way to lead the country. Our media, and I've said this for a while, I don't support the communist regime of China. I don't support the authoritarian, whatever you want to call the regime of Putin. I don't know what you would call it. But I think they're straightforward. Like, Russia's like, I care about Russia. I care about the state of Russia. We're looking out for our own people. China says, we're not pretending to have your similar interests in mind all the time. Like, we care about the Chinese regime. The American regime is one of the most deceptive and wicked, not because it's so much more horrible or so much more dangerous, but in many ways it is. I mean, we've invaded more countries than probably any other country ever, yet we play the victim when someone does it one time what we've done 40 times. And I'm not saying I hate myself, but I'm just saying in general, it's like the media makes you hate yourself. They normalize poverty. They're overseas painting this guy who's trying to start World War III, Zelensky. He's running to Israel using debunked narratives that people have already proven are not true to try to con Israel, Canada, America. I mean, this guy is trying to start World War III more than anybody else. I mean, obviously Putin's the only one you can maybe compare it to, but he's no victim. This is like no innocent hero. This guy's like running around be like, no fly zone, no fly zone. No. He's trying to escalate the war, a war that we clearly don't want to be a full part of. We only want to just give them weapons and stuff. And it's like 1984, war is peace. I have the clips right here. It looks the same too. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. The guy who's trying to start World War III is, they're talking about giving him a Nobel Peace Prize. Freedom is slavery. That's one of the things from 1984. It's like people are like, the only way to fight the authoritarian Donald Trump, we need to fight authoritarianism. Donald Trump is a fascist, so I want Donald Trump to lock me in my house. It's like, you think Donald Trump is Hitler or Mussolini or something. You've said it for 5 years. Then Gina Carano makes like one comparison and you freak out and fire her. But in general, like, you guys hate Donald Trump. You think he's a fascist. Some of you think he's like literally a Nazi or something when he's not. Not even close. But anyway, but you want the guy that you think is a fascist to lock you in your house, and he's a fascist because he won't lock people in their house as long as you wanted him to during COVID? Like, ignorance is strength. Freedom is peace. I'm sorry, freedom is slavery. War is peace. It's straight up 1984 world. And the media, once again, folks, is trying to brainwash people and normalize poverty, inflation, and complete collapse of society like it's just normal. Like, yeah, just, if you're making under 300K a year, just eat beans. So it's whatever. Those right wing crazies want to, control energy and, want to talk about it. But we're not only not going to talk about it, we're just going to say this is like the new normal, just like COVID. The new normal is wear a mask. The new normal is walk around and, don't talk to people. The new normal is don't smile. The new normal is Zoom calls. Is this the new normal? Or have you ever seen Black Mirror? It's like a sci-fi 1984 show where they pretty much did all this stuff. It's a Black Mirror episode. It's like any, pick off of not a fiction, sci-fi, horror thriller, and that's what we're living in. And they're trying to act like, oh, this is what it is. We need to do this. And it's like, it's not normal. Just like being poor is not normal. It's not something to strive for, to knock the middle class into the lower class. That's not good. You know what I'm saying? We try to help people out of poverty, not normalize it. They have literally inverted society using fake social justice, media manipulation, and now comes the push to basically make people okay with inflation. It's really, really crazy. I wanted to play a clip real quick because I find this clip fascinating. This is a Yuri Bezmenov. I've actually interviewed the guy who interviewed him, which his name was G. Edward Griffin. So before I play the clip, Yuri Bezmenov was a KGB agent, okay? His father apparently was big KGB. He was pretty big. He was doing covert missions, and he decided that, he fled to the West, I believe Canada for a while. He spoke in the USA, I believe, at one point. But I think he realized what he was doing was really evil, and he realized how little loyalty the communists had to each other. So he was in communist Russia. He saw the propaganda they were pushing on the West, and I think what made him defect was the fact that he had friends in communism that were getting killed by the communists, and he was trying to think like, why are they killing their own allies? And he come to the conclusion that, communist Russia was saying they're not really the allies. They're useful idiots. We just use them to attain power, like groups like Black Lives Matter, like the feminist movement. It's not to say that everybody's bad or their intentions are bad, but they're being used and manipulated for other people to fundraise and gain power. And once they gain power, everyone's mad at Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Like, Joe Biden's backing the police now. Of course he is. He never believed you. He just fundraised off you. He didn't believe defund the police. He just pretended to win an election. Now he's pretending like he's Donald Trump or a right-wing police fanatic, because he realizes he's going to get votes. But anyway, Yuri Bezmenov really spilled the beans of what the KGB was doing, and they were trying to brainwash people in the West and turn them into people that were self-hating, turn conservatives into people that didn't love the country, that didn't believe in anything. Because how easy would it be to conquer a country if everybody's overweight, if nobody's strong, if the men turn into women, if you're not allowed to be tough, the Second Amendment is demonized. The freedom of speech is bad. I mean, this is a way to destroy America. So they were probably thinking 30 years in advance, if we want to destroy America, we need to psychologically manipulate, get involved in media, and turn people against their own country to the point that's what we have in the press now. I mean, it's hard to find media that doesn't hate the people of this country, that doesn't hate you, that doesn't, it's wild. It's like I find that our media, like Donald Trump used to say, they hate us more than our own worst enemies in foreign countries. It's like the level of despise that the mainstream media has for us, the level of disgust, the level of normalizing poverty and just acting like eating beans is normal instead of meat. Like, even lower class people can eat meat. You know what I'm saying? Meat's not usually that expensive. Like, doesn't matter how broke you are, everybody's eating meat. They're trying to actually tell us, like, don't even eat, you're too poor to eat meat if you make more under 300,000. Does this sound like somebody that has a plan for you? Is this your best friend? Oh, we're fighting Putin, but just be poor forever or whatever. Like, no, a real leader would be saying, we have a plan. We're going to flip this around. We're going to make sure we get energy independent. Our own leaders are trying to destroy us. But here is defector Yuri Bezmenov explaining really what their plan was to destroy the West. And it was to get into conservative media and turn people against themselves. If you can brainwash a nation to close in and collapse on itself, then you win a war. And that's what I believe that our foreign enemies have done for decades, which is why our country is so pathetic. And we don't really have, like a lot of other countries have, like a blocker. Israel, Russia, China, they're very careful to be like, yo, we don't want this people to turn against the regime. I'm not agreeing with it all, but I mean, you should want to make sure that your politicians serve your country. So other foreign countries make sure, like, yo, are you serving this country or this country? America, it's like open season. I mean, it's like, it's taboo not to serve another country. If you're not taking money from big pharma or a foreign country, it's like you're not even allowed in Washington. We're the opposite. It's like loyalty is bad. If you're somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm not saying she's right about everything, but it's like she's probably one of the least compromised people in Washington. Is she perfect? No. Is she the most compromised? She's probably one of the least. That's why she's so wild. They act like she's the enemy. It's like if you're Nancy Pelosi just sucking up funds from everywhere, you're the status quo. You know what I'm saying? If you're taking millions of dollars from Pfizer, you're in the big boys club. Like, God forbid you come into the equation and you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna like my country and like not take all the money from all these places. That's when the media turns against you. It's like our own system is actively working against us. All right, let's play this clip of Yuri Bezmenov. It's fascinating. He talks about the psychological manipulation that foreign countries did to America. I found it fascinating. Let's listen.
The worst enemies. That's why my KGB instructors specifically made a point: never bother with leftists. Forget about these political prostitutes. Aim higher. This was my instruction. Try to get into large circulation, established conservative media. Reach, filthy rich movie makers, intellectuals, so-called academic circles. Cynical, egocentric people who can look into your eyes with angelic expression and tell you a lie. These are the most recruitable people, people who lack moral principles, who are either too greedy or too suffer from self-importance. They feel that they matter a lot. These are the people who KGB wanted very much to recruit.
But to eliminate the others, to execute the others, don't they serve some purpose? Wouldn't they be the ones they rely on?
They serve purpose only at the stage of destabilization of a nation. For example, your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The moment they serve...
Yeah, so it's a fascinating clip. Once again, check him out. I mean, he talked about the 4 stages of demoralization, destabilization, how to destroy a nation from within with psychological manipulation. Whatever you think of him, I mean, I think he's on to something for sure, because it makes total sense. Like, if you were fighting a war, would you want that country to be like super strong, love themselves, protect their borders? No, you would want America, right? People to hate themselves, being unhealthy is cool, open borders is like trendy and liberal. That's like a dream. If you're trying to invade a country or destroy a country, you wouldn't want like a bunch of tough guys. You'd want a bunch of weaklings. And before I leave real quick, I want to say 2 things. First, my interpretation of what's going on in the world right now, you have India doing business with Russia because India just doesn't care. They might be our allies, but they realize that the West has overplayed their hand despite all the media propaganda of them lying to you. China's working with Russia. They both kind of have the same mindset in many ways. They're all about themselves, but in a weird way, it's kind of like Trump and Putin or Trump and Kim Jong-un. Trump is not perfect, but people believed him more than they believed Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a fraud. I mean, I don't know who thought that he was like a trustworthy person. He's the politician's politician, except he's senile and too old to even speak properly now. But, with Trump, he might not be your best friend, but you kind of know where he stands. You know what I'm saying? You had Kim Jong-un respected Trump way more than Obama. Obama wouldn't even take a phone call with Kim Jong-un. Trump, he might be mean, he might be tough, but you semi-understand where he stands because he's kind of blunt. You know, people prefer that, especially in the world. So China and Russia, they don't have the same interest, but they're working with each other now, and they have the power to do a lot of damage to America because they trust each other, because they're straightforward about it. Putin doesn't pretend like he's running around saving the entire world. He's like, listen, I'm doing what I'm doing, you know? And same with China. Like, they're like, this is who we are, you know, deal with it. America is the fakest. And I'm not saying this because I hate our country. I love our country. America used to be real. We used to really lead in freedom and stuff. We're not who we used to be anymore at all. Our media is probably the most disgusting in the world. Instead of getting better, they just blame everybody else and try to say that everyone else needs to shut down because they can't compete. It's crazy. So it's like, we need to restore that in this country. Get that bluntness back, get people who love our country. It's going to be a tough journey, but that's my message of the day. This media stuff, of course, you know, I try to be the change I want to see in the world. I'm not perfect, far from it, but, you know, I always thought the media was corrupt, evil, toxic, negative, fear-based on both sides, selling too many pharmacy pills and scaring the crap out of people. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy yourself. God bless you. Share this video if you like it. And, you know, I always try to be more accurate, more factual, and definitely, like, you know, reverse this trend of them trying to act like poverty is normal and awesome and inflation's great. I mean, our own system is collapsing our country worse than Xi Jinping or Putin could ever dream of. They can't do half as much damage as our own system is doing to ourselves. So it's going to take more than a Ukraine flag in the bio to fix this. We all have to do our part. We have to focus on ourselves, self-accountability, because our system is rotten to its core. And they've been pushing this agenda for years to try to normalize the middle class disappearing. It's not random. It's not a coincidence. Maybe they're dumb, but most likely they have a plan where they just don't care about us. So we need to get politicians who care about us, media sources who care about us, and hopefully you feel that I do more than them, because I definitely do. God bless you. God bless your family. I just want to show you something real quick. So this is patreon.com/raretalk. That's where I'm doing a private podcast right now. I have a main one, Dream Rare Podcast. The thing is right there. But Patreon, I'm going to record my first secret podcast today, and that's what we're doing. Once a month, maybe once a week eventually, I'm going to do a secret podcast of stuff that I haven't talked about live. I think I'm going to talk about the transgender swimmer who won, you know, the swimming event. And, you know, just off top, you know, finally people care about women swimming. All it took was a Y chromosome, you know? And now people care about it. So, you know, I consider that a W. No, I'm just kidding. But jokes aside, you know, I'm going to talk about stuff that I haven't got to talk about. So patreon.com/raretalk for just $5 a month, eventually $3. I think I'm going to lower it. But, you know, that's the way you can support my stream. And I'm trying to build, expand, and definitely, you know, I don't need any more attention myself, but I do want to combat the media, and I find that, you know, what they're doing is not sustainable. So I'm going to keep working hard to reverse that, make sure people wake up and, you know, take accountability in their lives in our own country, because, I mean, I can't fathom how evil it is to act like telling people eating lentils and not meat is like some sort of liberal virtuous. I mean, they've lost their mind. We've known that, but we're going to make it better, folks. God bless you. Have a beautiful day, and share this video if you like it. I always appreciate it. It definitely helps. If you don't do anything, give it a watch, share it to a friend, whatever. Don't really matter. Subscribe, like, you know, thumbs up, thumbs down if you want, but if you do, I don't appreciate it. It's like, come on, turn that thumb upside down. But have a good one, folks. God bless you, and I'm going to keep this short and brief so it's more shareable.